The 2nd until the 19th, I believe it was. Went home for a couple of days, and I was on my way back. I actually, on the 26th, I stopped in, it ended up being the 27th of January, actually. I didn't even know anything about it until I stopped in a small town in southern Oregon, Bly, Oregon. You know, I heard that and heard the news that
How did it make you feel in your gut when you heard that?
Very, very a real quandary. You know, looking back on it now, when I heard that, I pretty much figured, and it turned out to be true, that the Federals had made their move, that there was probably going to be no access to Malheur.
Did you go on up anyway?
No, that I did not.
So you turned around and went back home.
Yeah, and I very much regret it now, particularly when I see the example of some other people who were there.
But then you were put on trial anyway.
Well, that was pretty easy.
You were put on trial in Oregon.
Let me finish there. I regret now very much that I sat in that small town, Bly, Oregon, for a couple hours trying to figure out what to do, then turned around and went home. But I should have kept on going anyway. A very courageous gal from Oregon named did exactly the opposite. I went there and tried to help around there as much as possible. You know.
Was that Shanna Cox?
No, Shauna was under arrest by that time. Remember, she was in the car there with.
Oh, that's right. She was under arrest when Finnegan got murdered by government.
I should have kept on. Barb Berg, though, Oregon resident, when she heard all of the bad stuff that was going on there, she went and tried to get into Malheur, even though it was all blocked off.
What happened to Barb Berg?
Oh, nothing. He was simply denied access and everything else like that. But I have to admire her courage and determination and concern that she went to where the danger was.
I agree. We have to interrupt. We have breaking report here. I'm going to put you up close to the phone. We have on the phone here Twiggy in Los Angeles, who was at the trial of Tome versus the Michael Jackson estate. Can you hear me okay?
Twiggy? Yes, I can.
Okay, tell us when was the first day of the trial?
Well, they started jury selection Tuesday, and then by Wednesday they had pretty much a jury selected and on the stand.
And when did they actually start the trial then? Yesterday or today?
Yesterday was the first day of, like, I guess, questioning and deliberations, where they were bringing in witnesses to testify.
And you mentioned they had 20 people in the jury box as the trial goes forward. That's like 8 alternates. I've never heard of having.
It was an unusual mix of people. They didn't look too excited. They actually, it was kind of an interesting mix of people.
How about the gallery? Was the gallery packed, or was it?
No, there was no media at all. No media, and there was hardly anybody in the room at all. Like, I was probably one of maybe 4 other people, 4 other people.
Right, and so
that included Howard Weitzman's wife, who kept passing him notes.
Wow. So Tome. Who started as a doorman at the Hilton? He's now in a position to collect millions of dollars for putting a deal together, right? Connecting Tom Barrack, who bought the Michael Jackson Ranch for $23 million to keep it from going into foreclosure.
Well, he bought the note.
He bought the note, yes.
And then they transferred title to Sycamore Valley Ranch, which is now currently under, and Michael owns a portion of that, or I guess his estate does, and Tom Barrack and Colony Capital own the remainder of the property, but the property is completely underwater from what they were saying.
Right. So this is happening today, Friday the 17th, and who was on the witness stand today supporting the idea that Tome should get millions and millions of dollars for putting this deal together way back 10 years ago?
Right. Well, Randy Phillips.
Randy Phillips.
But yesterday was even the more interesting day because they had a gentleman from Colony Capital who testified. He's one of Tom Barrick's right-hand guys, and he was talking about how they transferred the title and because they're trying to make a position that how Tomei got this existing property, and then also how Tomei was involved in the deal, because this is some of the money that he's trying to collect on, which was one being introduced to Tom Barrick, and then Michael being saved out of foreclosure, as well as, then the concerts of This Is It, and then ended up what being the end of his life, I guess, you would say, with all these gangster people around him.
Right. You said earlier somebody looked like a gangster in court today.
Yeah, well, Tomei looked like a gangster yesterday and today.
Wow, that's quite a statement. So you think Tomei is going to persuade the jury that he should get millions and millions of dollars a decade after Michael Jackson is reported dead by the coroner, and he's going to collect millions?
Well, it's appearing that way. I mean, how everything's going, it looks like that might be the situation. But he definitely was pushing Michael around in quite a bit.
And he doesn't have a license to broker deals, does he?
He doesn't have a broker license, so to say, but that really wasn't per se something that was a topic. It did come up, but because he was working under Tom Barrick. However, he was contracted under Colony Capital as a consultant, and he was getting a fee for that. Plus, he was involved in other business out of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, where he was collecting the interest, and he was bringing in investors from Abu Dhabi that were giving Tom Barrick $250, $300 million at a time. So we were talking a large amount of money here.
Yeah, and it appears Tomei was then had a conflict of interest because he's working for Michael and he's also working for the other guys.
Yes, that's correct. It was a conflict of interest, and that actually hasn't been brought up, which I find quite interesting because that's exactly what it was. But John Branco was doing the same thing. So it seems like all of his advisors and people that were working with him were all in conflicts of interest at some, because John Branco was representing Sony and he was representing Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it really sounds to me like a severe conflict of interest. But at this point, has Tomei taken the witness stand?
He hasn't. He was supposed to take it today, but out of nowhere, Randy Phillips appeared, which is quite interesting because Tomei, I believe, is still married to Randy Phillips' sister. And
glad you mentioned that. Just a minor little thing.
yeah.
So you think Tomei will be on the witness stand come Monday?
I would like to see that. I think at some point he's going to have to testify, or they're going to have to question him. I would think, maybe there's been some pressure put on this judge, or Tomei has an inside job with this judge. Who knows?
What's the judge's name that's hearing this trial?
It's a new judge because they transferred the case, and it's Mark. What is the guy's name? I don't even have his name right.
His first name is Judge Mark something.
Yeah, it was a brand new judge. He came out of
And the
nowhere.
trial's taking place in Santa Monica, correct?
Yes, they transferred it to Santa Monica from downtown.
What street is that on, that courthouse in Santa Monica?
On Main Street. It's right next to the main convention center. It's very strange because it's totally under the radar.
Yeah, I'm amazed too, and I thank you for calling in and giving this instant report on what just went down yesterday and today. We have to go back and sign off here. We've only got about 5-6 minutes left.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Twiggy. Very much appreciate the report.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was Twiggy, and she has a website called MJ Hoax. And you might get more information if you're really, really interested in that. And I know some of you people are always interested in what Michael Jackson things are going on. The man's been gone for a decade. Whether you believe he's dead or not, he's off the stage of the living. And still, his estate is being robbed. It's so sad. I don't know if Tommy really has the Neverland Gate and all those other things, but apparently the estate wants it back. And Tommy's saying he ain't giving it back, and besides that, I want millions. That's what it appears. We had a conversation earlier today, and I thank Twiggy for that. Now, back with my live guest here. Thank you for being so patient. Mr. Wampler's been waiting for, a year to come on and do this show?
Well, it's been quite a while, I guess.
Yeah, we first talked like a year ago or so.
Not that long, huh? Yeah.
So you didn't get back up there. You regret that you didn't get back up there, but they put you on trial anyway for what? Cooking food?
Well, that's
What was your
one
crime?
of the co-conspirators. Well, here's what happened.
Cooking food makes you a co-conspirator?
No, or there's this big conspiracy, ridiculous conspiracy theory they had about all that kind of stuff. What happened actually, of course, I very strongly feel that Ammon and Ryan and Lavoie and several others who were the leadership up there at Malheur were putting themselves on the spot personally by identifying themselves by name, who they were and everything else. They weren't trying to sneak around like conspirators. They weren't trying to sneak around and do things.
Like the FBI does.
Yeah. So, therefore, I was going to do exactly the same thing. I certainly was not going to try to sneak around myself. It came around to the point where I did a news interview and I identified myself by name and where I live and everything else like that. So this, of course, made it pretty easy for me to be on the indictment,
So just by standing with them, even though you didn't have a gun in your hand up there, all you did is cook food and show support.
Yeah.
And that made you a criminal defendant.
Well, I have to maybe have a strange take on that, because actually being on that indictment with Ammon and Ryan about the proudest moment of my life. It was a roll of honor, folks, and it was the most...
They tried all of you at the same time? Or was there two separate trials?
They had several tiers, that's right. But I was in the same tier, in the same courtroom with Ammon and Ryan and the other people that I mentioned,
Hey, you look so dangerous, Neil. I'm scared to death.
I have to say that being associated with the Bundys and being put on trial with them the proudest moments of my life. It truly was.
Yeah, and I got to say, in my talking to Ryan and Almond and Cliven, they are the nicest gentlemen ranchers I've ever met, and I've met a couple dozen. These were the nicest people, the salt of the earth. Anyway, you came out, you're found not guilty, and you gave your attorney a hug, or she gave you a hug? Let's see that picture. Let's see that picture. Where's that picture?
Get me started on this.
Because we're almost out of time. We're down to
This, ladies and gentlemen, is moments after we'd been found not guilty, in Portland. And the lady there...
Who's that lady?
Is my wonderful lawyer.
They're just showing the wrong picture. Show the other picture, this picture. Yeah, this one here.
Can we get it?
Yeah.
Let me do it. Over here.
There you go. Who's that on the screen?
That lady is my wonderful lawyer, the superb Lisa Maxfield.
Lisa Maxfield.
Oh, she was
Three
so
cheers
great.
for you, Lisa.
Yeah. She was a public defender, but she went far over above and beyond the call of duty, defending me and the rest of us too.
She
really
was a
did.
public defender?
That's right, yeah. But she was also a very well-established lawyer there in Portland, But she did a marvelous job.
Did a good job.
She very briefly brought in on her own hook a FBI undercover agent that had been sent in there in Malheur. They had no threat to me whatsoever. She could have just ignored him, but for the cause, she did it. And his testimony was devastating to the prosecution.
The FBI agent's testimony.
That's correct.
Was devastating.
Lisa hunted this guy down. He was not an agent. He was an undercover asset or operative.
Oh.
Lisa hunted him down, subpoenaed him, and dragged him into court on her own hook, at her own expense.
Good
And
job,
the,
Lisa
the
Max.
fabulous Fabio Minoggio, FBI agent provocateur. And she, on her own hook, found him and dragged him into court. And his testimony was devastating to the prosecution. It showed what a bunch of crooks they are.
They are a bunch of crooks. Well, people, we've come to about the end of the show. I want to thank Neil Wampler for coming down here. It's real inconvenient for him. It's easy for me because I only have to go 2 miles to get to the studio for him, but he had to go quite a distance from San Luis Obispo County down here to Santa Barbara County. And I want to point out that to this day, none of the Bundys have ever been convicted of anything.
That's correct.
Nothing, not a misdemeanor, nothing. All they were doing is standing their ground to hold on to their grazing rights, which they had. And you got to go watch Clive, and he explains it. They had those rights going back generations.
Way back.
Way back. Long before there was a BLM, long before the federal government ever thought they would have the right to do the stupid criminal stuff they're doing. And you know, when you get people like Jim Comey going on CNN, digging himself a hole to go to prison for life, and you get Bob Mueller, who's now embarrassed because he should have known, he should have read the false visa thing. Anyway, that's our show for tonight, people.
Thanks, folks, for listening.
Thanks for
Glad
listening.
to be here.
We'll see if Neil Cortsey wants to come in and give us his side.
I doubt it.
I got a few questions. And Dan Love, you're welcome to come in here and kick my butt if you think you can do it.
He's hiding under a rock someplace.
Yeah, I've been turning over rocks looking for you, Dan Love.